Hello friends, I am Dr. Prakash Makwana back with second talk of the series. It is on pneumonia, community acquired pneumonia. Learning objectives. Today's learning objectives are etiology, classification, investigations, complications, indications of hospitalization and treatment of pneumonia. It is often misdiagnosed, underestimated and mistreated. Mainly, historically, pneumonia has been classified as a community acquired pneumonia, hospital acquired pneumonia, ventilator associated pneumonia, and hospital care associated pneumonia. Healthcare associated pneumonia. Healthcare associated pneumonia. This category was meant to encompass those cases of CAP caused by multi-drug resistant pathogens typically associated with hospital acquired pneumonia. But mistreated means CAP, community acquired pneumonia, has been treated with broad spectrum antibiotics and led to antibiotic resistance. This is a point of concern. Now we come to the definition. Pneumonia is defined as inflammation with exudative solidification of the lung parenchyma, which is generally acute. The term pneumonitis is synonymous, but it is best avoided because inflammation is caused by non-infectious cause like chemicals or radiation is called pneumonitis. Pneumonias can be classified in a number of ways. Three classifications are given below. Classification by the site of involvement, alveolar or airspace pneumonia or lobar pneumonias. The organism causes an inflammatory exudate that involves many contiguous alveoli. Segmental boundaries are not preserved and the bronchial remain patent. This results in a radiographic appearance of a non-segmental consolidation with air bronchograms. The typical example is pneumococcal pneumonia. Then comes the interstitial pneumonia. The inflammation is confined to the interalveolar septa. Radiographically, it gives a reticular pattern. Mycoplasma pneumonia, pneumocystis carinii pneumonia, and viruses causes interstitial pneumonia. Then comes the bronchopneumonia. Inflammation is restricted to the conducting airways, especially terminal and respiratory bronchioles, and the surrounding alveoli. Radiographically, atelectasis may be present and air bronchograms are absent. The typical example is staphylococcal pneumonia. B. The classification by etiology. Pneumonia can also be classified into primary, secondary, and suppurative pneumonias. Primary pneumonia Primary pneumonia is caused by a specific pathogenic organism. There is no pre-existing abnormality of the respiratory system. The organism causing primary pneumonias are as per follow. Common are Streptococcus pneumonia, most common, Haemophilus influenza, Moraxella catarrhalis, Staphylococcus aureus, Legionella pneumophila, and Mycoplasma pneumonia. Less common are Klebsiella pneumonia, Streptococcus pyogenes, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Coxiella burnetii, Chlamydia pneumonia, Chlamydia psittacia, viruses like H1 influenza virus, seasonal influenza virus, coronavirus producing severe acute respiratory syndrome, and Actinomyces israeli. The term atypical pneumonia has been used to describe pneumonia caused by agents such as Mycoplasma, Legionella, Chlamydophila, and Coxiella. Though there are a few symptoms but that help in differentiating pneumonia caused by these organisms from non-pneumococcal pneumonia, there is a considerable overlap in the clinical presentation. Secondary pneumonia, including aspiration pneumonias. Secondary pneumonia aspirin pneumonia is characterized by absence of any specific pathogenic organism in sputum and the presence of some pre-existing abnormality of the respiratory system. The pre-existing abnormality of the respiratory system predisposes to the invasion of the lung by organisms of low virulence derived from upper respiratory tract or oropharynx. Mainly aspiration of pus from infected nasal sinuses, inhalation of septic material during tonsillectomy or dental extraction under general anesthesia, vomitus or the contents of dilated esophagus may enter the larynx and could be aspirated during general anesthesia, coma or even sleep. Aspiration of gastric contents in patients with gastroesophageal reflux disease (GERD). In acute bronchitis, bronchiectasis, lung abscess, pus may be carried into the alveoli. Ineffective coughing in post-traumatic situation, postoperative and laryngeal paralysis predisposes to aspiration. Partial bronchial obstruction, example by tumor or causes stasis of secretion and secondary infection distal to the site of the obstruction. Then comes the suppurative pneumonia, necrotizing pneumonia. In most pneumonias, primary or secondary with successful inactivation of the organism, complete resolution occur and normal lung structure is restored. In some cases, complete healing doesn't occur. Here, the prominent features are destruction of the lung tissue by inflammation, abscess formation, and subsequent development of fibrosis and bronchiectasis. The term suppurative pneumonia or necrotizing pneumonia has been applied to this group of conditions. Causative organism include Staphylococcus aureus, Klebsiella pneumonia, and the occasionally Haemophilus influenza and streptococcal pneumonia. Classification by the mode of acquiring pneumonia. Community acquired pneumonia (CAP). It indicates pneumonia occurring in a person in a community, means outside the hospital. It is defined as an acute pulmonary infection in a patient who is not hospitalized or living in a long-term care facility for 14 or more days before the presentation and doesn't meet the criteria for healthcare associated pneumonia. The most common organisms producing CAP are Streptococcus pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza, Moraxella catarrhalis, Legionella species, and Mycoplasma pneumonia and Chlamydia pneumonia. The first three organisms account for nearly 85% of all cases of CAP. The fact is important for selecting an antibiotic for treatment. This category includes both immunocompetent and immunocompromised patients as well as causative organisms are almost similar in both cases. Then comes the nosocomial pneumonia or hospital acquired pneumonia. Nosocomial pneumonia indicates the development of pneumonia after more than 48 hours of hospitalization. Majority of cases of nosocomial pneumonia occur outside the intensive care units. However, the high risk is in the patients on the mechanical ventilation called ventilator associated pneumonia, which is mainly by multi-drug resistant bacteria. Pneumonia in immunocompromised hosts seen in immunocompromised patients like neutropenic patients with HIV infection or malignancy and patients on immunosuppressive therapies may be caused by classical organisms, atypical organisms, Mycobacterium tuberculosis or Pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. Symptoms are usually more than the signs. Then healthcare associated pneumonia defined as an infection occurring within 90 days of a 2-day stay or longer hospitalization or stay in a nursing home or long-term care residence in the last 30 days or within 30 days of receiving intravenous antibiotic therapy or chemotherapy or wound care or after a hospital or hemodialysis clinic visit or in any patient in contact with multi-drug resistant pathogen. Patients with hospital care associated pneumonia are more closely resemble patients with nosocomial pneumonia and may require treatment accordingly. Pathological stages in development of pneumonia. There are classically four stages are described. All stages may be seen at the same time, but there is first stage is of edema, which is not seen because there is only exudation of protein in the alveoli, and which gets transformed into the stage of congestion very early. First stage of congestion, just congestion in the vessels without alveolar exudation. Fine crepitations may be heard. Stage of red hepatization, intraalveolar exudation, especially with RBCs, tubular bronchial breathing can be heard. Stage of gray hepatization, the exudation is mainly WBC with minimal RBCs, and tubular bronchial breathing is heard in this stage, and this stage correlates clinically with the complete recovery as there is a clearance of exudation. Then stage of resolution, the exudate is absorbed or removed by macrophages and proteolytic enzymes, and there is a coarse crepitations are heard. This will lead to a very high chances of acute infarctions or unstable angina or worsening of acute heart failure within 90 days of pneumonia. Patients with atypical pneumonia may have a dry cough. These patients often have extrapulmonary features that include myalgias, arthralgias, prominent headache, mental confusion, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Hemoptysis is uncommon in atypical CAP. Examination of the patients, approximately 80% are febrile, although this finding is frequent. Most sensitive sign in elderly. Tachycardia is common, however, relative bradycardia is a typical feature of Legionnaires disease. Chest examination reveals crepitations in the involved area. About one third have bronchial breathing. Investigations, total and differential leukocyte count, leukocytosis with a high percentage of polymorphonuclear leukocytosis suggests bacterial pneumonia. In viral and atypical pneumonia, total leukocyte count is often less than 5,000 per millimeter cube. Blood culture. This may grow the causative organism, particularly in pneumococcal pneumonia. However, blood cultures are recommended only in hospitalized patients. Recently, it has been found to be positive in 5 to 14% of cases, but presence of a positive blood culture suggests a bacteremia, and bacteremia it puts a patient of community acquired pneumonia into a severe critical community acquired pneumonia, which has to be treated accordingly with IV parenteral potent antibiotics. Same way, organisms are identified, culture sensitivity antibiotics are there, so there is no overuse of antibiotics, or empirical antibiotic can be changed to the specific antibiotic. Examination of respiratory secretions should be subjected to microscopic examination as well as culture sensitivity. These are recommended only in hospitalized patients. Microscopic examination should include gram scale and gel and Neisson staining. Culture including aerobic culture when indicated, and sensitivity testing should be done. A freshly offsite obtained specimen of expiratory sputum is ideal. An ideal sputum specimen can be distinguished from the saliva by microscopic examination. An ideal sputum specimen from the lower respiratory tract tract will have polymorphonuclear leukocytes and alveolar macrophages, but very few oral squamous epithelial cells. A sputum specimen that has more than 25 polymorphonuclear neutrophils and less than 10 epithelial cells per low power field represents a purulent specimen. If a patient is not able to expectorate, one of the following methods should be employed. Attempt to induce sputum production by the administration of nebulized hypertonic saline. Percutaneous transtracheal aspiration of the secretions. Fiber optic bronchoscopy with ball and brushings, a transbronchial biopsy of lung tissue or culture, and histology may be done in selected cases. Percutaneous transthoracic needle aspiration or preferably under CT guidance can be done. Serological and antigen detection tests. Pneumococcal antigens can be detected in the serum or urine in pneumococcal pneumonia. A fourfold rise in antibody titer over 10 days is useful in diagnosis recent infection by mycoplasma, chlamydia, legionella, and viral infections. And then comes the radiological studies. Chest radiograph is essential for the confirmation of the diagnosis, follow-up, and detection of complications like pneumonic effusion and empyema. As because the okay. This is an XHS of viral pneumonia which is showing a nodular reticular pattern in right lower lobe, and there is a air bronchogram. This is a typical X-ray suggestive of right lobar pneumonia, right upper lobe pneumonia, showing a lobar pattern and this thing. X-ray chests are important. Oxygen saturation using a pulse oximeter in patients who are to be managed in outpatient basis is mandatory in the pneumonia management. At ABG analysis, the PaO2, PaCO2, and pH concentration levels are important in the management of seriously ill patients. Hyponatremia, elevated liver enzymes, and microscopic hematuria may occur in patients with Legionnaires' disease. C-reactive protein and procalcitonin may help in distinguish between bacterial and non-bacterial pneumonia. CRP may also be elevated in patients with viral pneumonia, although often not to the same extent in the as in the bacterial infection. Then comes the complications of pneumonia. These include pneumonic effusion, meningitis, arthritis, endocarditis, pericarditis, peritonitis, empyema, septicemia, and ARDS. Cavitations or abscess formation occurs in any severe pneumonia, but it is more common in Staph aureus, Klebsiella, and aspiration pneumonitis. Pneumothorax, especially in Staphylococcus aureus pneumonia. Mortality rate of patients who require admission to the hospital average is 12% overall, but increases to 30 to 40% for those who with severe CAP who require admission to intensive care unit. Then comes the indications of hospitalization. First is age more over 65, underlying diseases like diabetes, renal failure, congestive heart failure, chronic lung disease, alcoholism, immunosuppression, postplanectomy, malignancy, altered mental status. Then signs like respiratory rate more than 30 per minute, systolic blood pressure less than 90 millimeter of mercury, diastolic blood pressure less than 60 millimeter of mercury, evidence of extrapulmonary involvement like meningitis, arthritis, etc. Then laboratory parameters like WBC count less than 4,000 or more than 30,000 per millimeter cube, partial pressure of oxygen less than 60 millimeter of mercury on room air, renal failure, blood urea, hematocrit less than 30 percentage, multilobar involvement on chest X-ray. The above may be also considered as a bad prognostic features in case of CAP. The need to hospitalize a patient can also be decided using pneumonia severity index, which combines several clinical and laboratory features and comorbid conditions, or CURB 65 score, which includes confusion, urea concentration more than 40 milligram percentage, respiratory rate more than 30 per minute, blood pressure with systolic 90 less than 90 mercury, or diastolic less than 60 mercury, and age more than 65 score. Each parameter is assigned 1 point to get a severity score. The recommendation on the basis of curve 65 score are outpatient treatment for patient with a score of 0 to 1 and hospital admission for 3 or more, because the mortality of curve score 1 is 1.5 percentage at the 30 days, and for score 2 to 3 when the age more than 65 is contributing is also less, but mortality rate is 30 percentage when curve score is 3 or more than 3. So curve score 3 or more than 3, sure admission. 2 to 3 you may justify according to the other features. Then comes the treatment. Treatment includes general measures: check the airways, breathing and circulation, treat shock with intravenous fluid initially and SOS vasopressors, correct hypoxia with oxygen inhalation. If hypoxia continues or patient develops increasing hypercapnia, ventilate the patients mechanically. Treatment of pleuritic pain with mild analgesic like tramadol and paracetamol. Antimicrobial therapy: administer antibiotic as soon as feasible once the diagnosis of CAP is established. Empiric therapy for CAP is based on providing coverage against the most likely pathogens responsible for CAP. The antibiotic selected should therefore be active against common typical and atypical pathogens unless one can clinically differentiate these organisms. Macrolides, erythromycin, clarithromycin, and azithromycin should not be used alone in moderately sick patients with CAP, since nearly 25% of strains of S. pneumonia are naturally resistant to macrolides. Newer fluoroquinolones like levofloxacin, moxifloxacin, and gemifloxacin have better gram-positive coverage than ciprofloxacin. These are effective against both typical and atypical pathogens and can be used as a monotherapy, particularly if the patient is not severely ill. However, their use should be restricted as the tuberculosis is always a possibility in patients with pneumonia, and use of fluoroquinolones may produce partial response and lead to resistance to tubercular bacilli to the other agents. Ceftriaxone has no activity against atypical pathogens and should not be used alone in moderately sick patients. Doxycycline remains effective against both typical and atypical pathogens and is effective choice in patients with CAP. Daptomycin is not effective against for MRSA pneumonia because it is an inactivated by pulmonary surfactant. The approach for empiric antibiotic is shown below. For pneumonia due to typical organism without an underlying comorbidity, and the usual duration of therapy is 5 to 7 days, and for mycoplasma and chlamydia pneumonia and immunocompromised patient, the duration is 10 to 14 days. Patients initially treated with intravenous antibiotics can be switched to oral agents whenever they become afebrile. Then types of pneumonia. Uncomplicated pneumonias, patient not requiring hospitalization. Antibiotic treatment: erythromycin 500 mg 6 hourly orally alone or in combination with cefuroxime, Axitil or amoxicillin. Use clarithromycin or azithromycin if patient is intolerant to erythromycin. Consider fluoroquinolone levofloxacin 750 mg once a day, or moxifloxacin 400 mg once a day, or gemifloxacin 320 mg once a day. Doxycycline 100 mg 12 hourly is another choice. Other alternatives are amoxicillin, clavulanic acid, or cefixime, or cepodoxime, or ceprozil. Moderately sick patients requiring hospitalization. Ceftriaxone 2 gram once a day IV or cefotaxime 1 to 2 gram IV 8 hourly and erythromycin 500 mg 6 hourly or azithromycin 500 mg once a day. Alternative is amoxicillin chlorinic acid plus erythromycin or azithromycin. Fluoroquinolones or alone can be used. Severely sick patients, ceftriaxone, a beta-lactam antibiotic 2 gram once a day IV plus either azithromycin 500 mg IV once a day or levofloxacin 750 mg IV once a day. If allergic to beta-lactam, replace ceftriaxone with aztreonam. If methicillin resistant staph aureus are suspected, then add vancomycin 15 mg per kg IV 12 hourly or linezolid 600 to 800 mg IV 12 hourly to above regimes. When pneumonia is there with underlying disease and patient is sick, piperacillin plus tazobactam or cefepime or a carbapenem, meropenem or imipenem cisplatin combination plus ceftazidime plus a fluoroquinolone which includes ciprofloxacin or a aminoglycosin, amikacin or tobramycin plus or azithromycin or clarithromycin because or aminoglycoside plus fluoroquinolone because such underlying disease patients or sick patients are having a gram negative infection, pseudomonas infection, and in such infection synergistic acting antibiotics are very effective and combination therapy has proven very useful, rewarding in long term trials. Risk factors for antibiotic resistance: age above the 65 years of age or age less than 5 years, alcoholism, child attending a daycare center, multiple comorbidities, prior exposure to an antimicrobial within 3 months. Then comes the unresolved pneumonia, indicates a persistent consultation despite of initial antibiotics and passage of more than 6 weeks. Important causes are incorrect diagnosis like neoplasm, pulmonary embolism with infarction, systemic vasculitis, eosinophilic pneumonia, incorrect microbiological diagnosis like tuberculosis treated with a classical organisms, bronchial obstruction causing partial or complete obstruction, immunocompromised state, nosocomial superinfection, further evaluation in form of microbiological test and for the etiological agent, CT scan of chest, bronchoscopy, broncho biopsy and other tests are required. Then comes the recurrent pneumonia. A number of conditions can produce recurrent pneumonias. Bronchial obstruction, either foreign body, bronchial stenosis, compression of bronchus, endobronchial growth, lesions, bronchiectasis, sequestration of lung, immunocompromised state, ciliary dyskinesia, multiple myeloma and other lymphoretical malignancies are leading to recurrent pneumonias. Then comes the prevention, pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine PPSV23 and a protein conjugated pneumococcal vaccine PCV13 are available in the market, and PCV13 has been recommended for the use in children and elderly with COPD cases and post-splenectomy young patients also. Influenza vaccine has to be taken according to the prevalent strains of virus and this should be practiced. And today, as I am talking, we are facing a pandemic of coronavirus COVID 19. And today, by today, the worldwide corona cases has crossed the 1 crore mark. And India, it has crossed 5 crore mark. Lot of strategies are coming up. Remdesivir, Flupiravir, these two antivirals are approved in the treatment with other agents like tocilizumab, dexamethasone, methylprednisolone, low molecular weight heparins, lot of things are going on. So this is all about this pneumonia. References I have taken from Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine, 20th edition, medical preparation manual for undergraduates, and Procter and Douglas of respiratory diseases. Thank you.